Hello all, hope you are doing splendid today. Today I am going to be making another baked good. The holidays are coming up, and actually I'm going to be celebrating Christmas a week early with my dad's side of the family, and my contribution is going to be the brown sugar cookie. It is very similar to the traditional sugar cookie, only it will not be as fluffy. It has a little bit more of a nutty and a rich flavor as opposed to the regular sugar cookie. So I'm going to show you that today. And the first step is going to prepare our add-ins. Usually sugar cookies don't have add-ins, but this one, since it has brown sugar, the dough is not going to be as soft, and so we can put whatever we want in it. But today I'm going to be doing pecans, maybe a few chocolate chips, haven't decided. But for the pecans, I'm going to chop them up and then we're going to toast them. Okay, here I have a small wooden cutting board, and then here it's about, I would say, like a cup, maybe a cup and a fourth of half pecans. And so I'm just going to take some of these out and I'm going to put them on our board to chop. Now we're going to be using a really cool, and we're going to be using this, it's a Pampered Chef chopper. This is one of my favorite things to use. You're just going to try and scoop all of the nuts underneath. And then once you are there, you can just chop away. You just press down and they will start to chop. Alright, you can see how these have chopped wonderfully, and I'm going to put those straight into our frying pan. This isn't on, by the way. Alright, I went ahead and I chopped up the rest of that container. This is going to come to about a cup, a little over a cup of chopped pecans. And now we're going to take, I have a tablespoon of butter. I'm going to put this in the pan, I'm going to turn it on, and we are going to toast these until you get a nice nutty aroma that starts to come off of the pan, and you'll know it when you smell it. Okay, my pecans are about toasted. I don't know if you can hear that, but that is them crackling to that butter. And now once these are done, we are just going to turn off the fire, and we're just going to set them back to the side of the stove. Just like with any baked good that I have done thus far, if it's a cookie or if it's a cake, we're going to mix our wet ingredients separate from our dry ingredients, just so it is easier to mix and they will incorporate a lot better. But for our wet ingredients, we're going to be starting off, of course, with pure brown sugar, because these are brown sugar cookies. 1 and 2 cups. Next we have our shortening. It is going to be a total of 1/2 cup. I am doing a 1/4 cup of butter and then a 1/4 cup of Crisco. And as anyone knows, a 1/4 cup of anything is the same as 4 tablespoons. So in they go. 2 eggs. And then last, for our wet ingredients, we're just going to have a little splash of vanilla. There we go. Now for our dry ingredients, I have here, this is 2.5 cups all-purpose flour, and to that we are going to add 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder, not baking soda, and then just a little sprinkle of salt. I know you probably couldn't see that, but I already put in, it's about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Now we're going to make sure we have our mixer locked. It is plugged in. Going to turn it to about a 3/4 and let the wet ingredients mix all together. Alrighty, that looks about good. Now we're going to take a large spoon and then we're just going to slowly scoop the flour into our wet ingredients. Actually, I'm going to turn that down. There we go. Now we're going to... We're going to time hop here to the flour all incorporated. Got the empty bowl. Now we are going to take, remember, our toasted pecans. I've put them in just a regular bowl. And make sure that you let them sit in the pan for about a minute after you turn the oven off, just for them to cool before you transport them to something else. And you're just going to sprinkle them in with the mixer stopped. Then turn it on for just maybe 15-20 more seconds until you have your nuts or whatever you have to incorporate into your dough. Alright, we've moved back over to the stove. This next step is what really makes the brown sugar cookie different from the regular sugar cookie, other than the obvious addition of brown sugar. So, you take powdered sugar and pour it into a bowl. I'm just going to use the same one that we had our toasted pecans in, and fill it up, not all the way, because we all know how powdered sugar is very fine and it likes to puff. So fill it up about, that looks good. Now if you like, you can stop there. You don't have to add anything to the powdered sugar, but because I'm me and I like to make things a little bit different, I am going over to our spice cabinet and I'm going to grab, what am I looking for? Well, I know what I'm looking for. Just where is it? Aha, it's back there. I'm going to get out our ground cinnamon, some nutmeg, oh that's right in the front, and finally, not mustard, here it is, some ground ginger. Then you're just going to sprinkle those spices however much you want. This is the cinnamon, so cinnamon you can be a little more heavy-handed than the other ones. And finally our ground ginger. You can do a little bit more of this than the nutmeg. I'm going to do about, say that's about a half a teaspoon right there. Whoops. But that's okay. Now we're just going to use a fork, and you can gently being the key word, stir up the spices and your powdered sugar until they are fully mixed together. Okay, and here we have it, and it turned out that you saw me earlier, I dumped in a little more ginger than I wanted, but that's going to end up being okay because ginger is the kind of spice where it mixes very well when you have it paired with other spices. Now if it was just on its own, it might have been a little powerful, but because I have the cinnamon, I have the nutmeg, and it's already mixed in with the sugar, it's going to go very nicely with the cookies. It'll give it a bit of a gingerbread effect, which is what I was going for in the first place. Next, you want to grab your number 70 scoop. Right here, you're going to scoop out your brown sugar cookie dough just like you would if you were making chocolate chip cookies. And then, but instead of putting it onto your parchment paper right away, you're going to transfer it to your powdered sugar mix. Just going to scoop it out. Just going to roll it around a little bit until it gets covered. Now we transport it to the parchment paper. We're going to fill the whole sheet of this, and then we'll move on to the next step. Ta-da! 12 little brown sugar cookie balls. Now we have our oven. It is set at 350 degrees, and you are going to cook them for 12 to 14 minutes. I always like to set it at the lowest time first, just to see how they go. Then if they need to go a little longer, you can put them a little longer, because if a cookie is underdone, you can always bake it some more, but if a cookie is burnt, there's really nothing you can do about it. Alright, the oven has just beeped. We're going to see what 12 minutes looks like. Ooh, I think that looks pretty good. The second pan I just put in, so they're not going to be done. Ooh. And there you have it. Beautifully cracked. Little dusting of powdered sugar over the top. But yeah, there is the brown sugar cookies, and you can just transfer those from your pan after they're just a little bit cool over onto the racks, which are right over there. And I'm just going to continue with the batch, and I will see you back here when all of the cookies are done. Okay guys, here we are, the finished product. It made exactly 4 dozen cookies, and I think that they turned out wonderfully, and I have sampled one. They are very good. And with these kind of cookies, the brown sugar and the spices, they will come together more as they sit. So if you wanted to put them in the refrigerator or put them in a container, let them sit overnight, the flavor will be even more powerful the day after. It won't continue, it's only for the first 8 hours. The flavor continues to develop as the cookies sit. That's just because it is all brown sugar and there's no white sugar in it, and along with those spices, especially the cinnamon. So, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed this another tutorial, and see if you want to make these for your next family holiday.